Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Nur Atsila Marani Faisa Putri. My SID is 20110106000H and I'm from TB1. In this video, I will explain you about translation, especially in chapter 4. It's about problem in translation. Okay, the first type of problem in translation is problem of equivalent. That the simple problem explained fit in the book by the Italian translator is that the translation often use words that not needed. In other words, it can called with a word. For example, Johnny is bleeding his dog around the threshing floor. It can be John is beating about the bush. Okay, Power V distinguish equivalent problem into four types. First, linguistic equivalent is mean homogeneity in the linguistic level of source language and target language. Number two is paradigmatic equivalent of the elements of paradigmatic expressive exist, for example, grammar or lexical grammar. Number three is stylistic translational equivalent. It means functional equivalent of both original and translating at an expressive identify. And the last is textual syntagmatic equivalent. It means equivalent of structure of the text. Manuel Albert Nibert distinguished into two types. The first is study of translation, and the second is process and product translation. And Udinida distinguished into two types too. The first is formal, focused on message itself, both forms and content. And number two is dynamic, principle equivalent of effect. Okay. For example, in Indonesia, apa yang dijelaskan Rara sama dengan maksud dari hati Benny. Okay. And number two is common mistake. If you know a common mistake in translation process, you can take a 6-step. I will explain that steps. The first, translator leave out some of the text that appeared in the source document. Number two is the translation misinterprets the meaning of the text or misinterpret specific terminology. Number four is the translation for client, for us, for reader, include the text or example that are culturally inappropriate for the intense audio. And number five, the translation inconsistent in using or defining keyword or phrase. It means biasanya you use formal and then you change in informal language when you translate. Number six is the client accept change to the translation overread by an unqualified. Okay, and the problem number two is problem and solution. The first problem is titles. Many translations have mistake in this part. Cause why? They are have proposed to mereka punya maksud for translate the title, but it's not clear. I recommend to don't translate the title. It's better if you it's better more than you translate it, but the meaning is not clear. Number two is style-based language. When you translate it text, you have learned about how the target language will you translate write the text. Okay, number three, regional dialect. If you translate, you have to find ciri khas dari teks yang kamu translatekan. For example, you translate Chinese book and there any words like ayah, you have to write it in your target language because that can to be the ciri khas from Chinese novel. Okay, number 4 is strong language. It means you have to learn habit or why, how the target language, write text. It can tidak menghilangkan esensial dari source language that you change into target language. So essential dari target language you translate, it's still there, but in language dari target language yang kamu translate. Okay, number 5 is colloquialism. It's mean like you use slang in your translate, but you have know and choose the right slang. Okay, number 6 is humor. It's content about colloquialism area that I'll explain. It's you have memilih kalimat yang tepat untuk memasukkan slang and then humor after the slang. Okay, number 7 is unstructured words and culture specific. It's like the translator now have many reference and knowledge about the target language is. It's mean dia kurang atau translator kurang dalam mempelajari kultur dari target language yang ingin dia translate. And number 8, quoted from other source. It means kalau bisa ada kata-kata bijak in your target in your source language, don't be translated. It's like lebih berasa, lebih mengena rasa bijaknya atau kata-katanya tuh lebih mengena di reader if you not translate it. But many translator still translated it not clearly, not with nice language, I think. Okay, and the last is difficult language. It's how its main translation have this problem. For example, me, I sometimes hard to know one word meaning in my target language. It's mean kayak kamu mendapatkan satu kata yang susah banget buat kamu pahami dan itu juga susah buat ditranslate. Okay, that's for me. Sorry for my mixed language. See you next time and goodbye.